Now that Valorant competitive mode is out, I think it's a good time for this video to be made. I've done a bunch of coaching in the game when the beta was out and also as the game caught up onto the current release of the game. And I've really just compiled a list of things that you should be doing or at least be aware of not to do to rank up, improve, and get better at the game. Hello my beautiful and lovely gamers, as always, my name is Jonal, and before we start the video, a like on the video of course helps, as I'm a smaller YouTuber trying to get into the space of Valorant, so a like on the video really does help out against the YouTube algorithms, and goes for a comment down in the comment section, and of course, drop down if you can, any tips, tricks, mistakes that you generally see from your teammates, the enemy, whatever, or something that you've been doing that can help out other people, something that a tip or a trick or just something that you did or something that you understand that very few people do to help them improve and rank up from the knowledge that you have. That way we can help out the community together, and of course it's a brand new game, so every opinion matters, every tip and trick is always appreciated. So thank you for doing that, and of course subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content and you want me to continue producing Valorant stuff. Now with no further ado, let's really just begin with tip number 1, and that is aggressive peeking. Now logically, if you are getting locked down and there's too many enemies and there's just too many barrels, and if you peek this, you'll peek like 2 or 3 people immediately and just get gunned down, don't do it, right? We don't want it to be suicidal. However, I see a lot of people when I do coaching and when I generally work with people, and also of course when I play, that there's a lot of people that play it super defensively, and normally there's nothing wrong with that, right? If you're getting rushed by it, then if you are like the only guy on the site because your team didn't back you up, or because you're playing Haven, for example, that has 3 sites and you need to split out people and you're getting rushed, falling back, slowing them down with utility, and maybe not take the fight if you're conscious enough that okay, there's 2 or 3 people stacking on each other, I'll just back off and kite backwards and wait for reinforcement and retake so I don't die for no reason. That's fine, of course. Playing it defensively, playing it safe, playing it smart, as it said, is important. However, I do see a lot of people that played super safe. And it's more of the fact that they are just hoping the enemy team is bad. And that's not something that you can do if you want to rank up and you want to get out of a silver or a low elo. You can't just rely on the enemy team being bad all the time, because when you start, ranking up and getting close to gold or even getting close to platinum, people will be far more assertive. They will start clearing their corners, they will clear their angles, they will start spending utility, and they will be a lot of time much faster and more aggressive. What you need to remember is to peak them aggressively. Remember to use what you have, especially when you're playing defensively, but also when you're playing offensively. If they're not cleared an area, if they're not cleared a site or wherever they're trying to push for, they need to spend some time, some attention, and start clearing all the corners, start clearing all angles. Maybe they need to spend utility so they'll be caught casting something. In general, they can't cover every single angle. And the fact that you can punish that you can take those aggressive peaks that, okay, they are pushing and they are starting to engage some of my teammates, or they're starting to push and they might soon engage one of my teammates, and you setting up yourself to swing and punish that, to take them out when they are pushing and when they're claiming space, instead of doing what a lot of people do, and that's hide in the corner, wait until the enemy team push in, clear the entire site, get every angle covered, and then they try to take the fight. The enemy team is no longer busy, there is nothing else to focus on, so when you peak, of course they will start putting a lot of resources and attention on you. Remember that these guys, a lot of time in solo queue, they don't do comms, right? We've all been there. So since they're not on comms, or at least they're not using them, 2 people can be covering something completely different or be busy doing something completely different and won't pay attention if you kill their buddy and start shooting them in the back. You killing their buddy a lot of time will sometimes take a reaction out of them, but a lot of time they will be busy doing something else, have slow reaction time, have bad game awareness, and that is super easy. You just farm people, especially you can do that, especially in low elos, where you see silver players or gold players and so on. It is so easy to punish the fact that people are not aware, that they're not paying attention, and because of that, if you peek it aggressively and don't give them time to do everything that they want, clear the entire side, spend all their utility, you will have a much easier time getting frags and then carrying that game of those peaks. Now, tip number 2 is don't swing too wide, and also understand what angles you are picking while moving. An exception to this is sometimes you do want to swing wide, right? For example, if there's a guy that's playing down here, as an example, this goes for any corner, and it's not situational, specific. It's just there's a guy that is locking this corner down, right? He's holding this with a rifle, or maybe not. But in this example, let's say it's a rifle, right? You can either, of course, you can of course go ahead and try to pre-fire him, But a lot of time, if you're scared that this guy, that you peeking him, he will just tap once, because again, the enemy is normally pre-aiming very close to corners. Swinging wide at that point can be really, really good, right? Because you're essentially forcing him to not just do this. He needs to track you, which makes the shots far more difficult. Again, in higher elos, this becomes more and more easy, and you start needing utility. But especially like gold and so on, going in here and just taking this fight and going a little bit out from the corner, right? Not run like this and then start the fight, right? But just like you're strafing here, you go wide, and then you just go away from the corner a little bit, will force him to move it over here. And a lot of time, because people don't have the best mouse control, they will either over aim, or they will have to do like a spray transfer because he shot immediately. Remember to not make the shot for your opponent easy. If they just need to do this, then that's super easy. Most people can do this in silver and in gold and so on. People can easily control this spray forever. But when they start to like having to move it over here, and they also need to move their mouse after you, that extra little distance makes a difference. So sometimes you do want to swing wide onto somebody. Same goes if you're double peeking with a buddy or something, or you're entering and you need your team to get through with you and peek some angles. Sometimes you will have to swing wide. But generally, what I see is a lot of people, for example, if they're holding in here, is they swing too wide, right? So, like say that they want to peek this corner here. I see a lot of people that peek all the way over here. So if there was a guy that was holding the middle to push with his team and be surprising, right? That could be an issue. And so a lot of time I also see like people like go all the way out here to take the fight, right? Peeking this angle close here, right? So you're peeking way too many angles at the same time. So be controlled in what you're peeking, right? If you, for example, you want to push up here, you can do that. But then instead of now pushing close here and then just peeking like that, and I peek these two crates, I peek the corner, and I peek heaven, right? That's like way too many angles for me to cover. Instead, you can go out, you clear here or whatever, you're holding this angle, and then you can start moving. First one will always be heaven on this map, right? So your first one will always be heaven. So you can kind of lock most of it down. And then next one is crates. Next one is inside this corner over here. And then from here on out, you can choose what you will. Here's a kind of safe resting space, so you can kind of clear all the way over here, so you can quickly go back, right? Because remember, you don't want to stand here for too long. You don't want to stand here and then do like this, and that, because that takes too much time, right? If there was somebody that was heaven that had unpeaked, and I'm spending a long time clearing all my corners, he might repeak me on heaven, right? So I want to do this a little bit fast. I want to kind of, okay, go there, here, check, okay, go, and then I can take this corner. This is clear, so now I only need to kind of hold this for a little bit. Nobody comes. Okay, now I can start thinking about moving and only clearing maybe two of these angles at the same time. If there's multiple angles, you start using utility, right? You can smoke on one side to make sure that to at least, hopefully he won't peek you, or you can spend utility to force them back. Especially in low elos, a lot of people play very, very like aggressively up against their walls. They can peek very aggressively. Spending utility, of course, here will damage or hopefully kill, but a lot of time damage, weaken them for future gunfights. Also, remember, if you're gonna clear something, please don't smoke your own team. So don't smoke like this if it's a possibility not to, because you want to push in here and you want to take a fight hookah. Instead, spend your utility on where the opponent might be holding, right? So you smoke off these two spots, for example. Because notice how much space I can work with now. They don't have vision in this entire area, but I do. If I smoke here, I can't push into here because I smoked myself off. And I smoked my team, so my team won't be able to back him up with rifles, even if they peek, right? So, if possible, try to get smokes onto the site. You're not always able to, but ideally, try to smoke people off the site, because it allows you to take different angles, right? For example, if you want to peek, if you smoke up these angles, and you want to peek hookah, you can start peeking very, very wide angles on hookah, right? And start taking much, much wider angles, which can give you advantages in these fights, which we have covered previously on the channel about how to do efficient peeking. Number 3 is understanding teamwork. And teamwork in this game is very, very, very difficult, because most people don't use mic. If you play in Europe like me, a lot of people don't speak English. There's a lot of Russians. There's a lot of people that speak different languages, so they won't communicate in English. Some people just don't want to. Maybe not everybody's in comms. And even if they were in comms and they all spoke the same language, the difference becomes, how are you gonna... Can you trust the fact that if you do a call like, okay, I'm pushing A short. If you're saying, okay, I'm gonna push through A short, and you see a couple people bathroom, do you think that they understand or even maybe they're not able to, or maybe they don't understand, maybe they don't want to, right? That, okay, if you can hold this for me, then I know that this angle is somewhat safe, right? Or I'm pushing a short and I'm gonna push out, you know, I'm gonna push out into sight or whatever, right? If your team can start at that point maybe taking some fights, maybe be at least being ready again to back you up, right? With some aggressive peeks, not let the fight happen over there because they are waiting for somebody to peek them, and then, you know, you lose short, and then these guys try to take fights, which happen a lot, right? A lot of time they won't understand that, or they won't be able to, or they won't have the timing, or whatever, or maybe you thought that they were able to do it and they actually weren't. There's so many factors. So teamwork in this game is really good in a way that if you can see that somebody is in front of you and he's gonna take a fight, or you see somebody is gonna play, for example, again, this guy here, and you can see that maybe he always does it, or maybe that he's ready to kind of take a fight aggressively. If you can play with him, so when he takes the fight, you can kind of peek very, very tiny, right? You don't want a white peek, because if he peeks, and he peeks like 5 players, then if you're lucky, you can kill like 1 of them. But if you also peek 5 players, then you just die with him, right? So using good peeking techniques and playing aggressive with your team, that you can maybe get a kill, smoke them off, and fall back. At least, even if he is bad, you could use him. He's a resource. So look at your team all the time as resources. They are information gatherer for you. Even if they push and just die without doing any damage, at least they gave you information about where the enemy team is holding, or what guns they have. Maybe they drain out utility and abilities from the opposing side, right? So always try to look at a team as like that, but don't rely on them. And don't be mad if, again, you are supposed to be the carry. So you shouldn't rely on the fact that your team can clutch out. And if you're playing a game where you get like 3 kills every round and your team just loses all other gunfights, but every round you get 3 kills, 3 kills, 3 kills, team can't do shit, like 4 players can't kill 2 of the enemies, that's just an unlucky game. You'll go next, and if you continue to play like that, you will in the end rank up. Going over to tip number 4, and that is how to jiggle, how to tap, or burst fire. A lot of people full spray, and spraying can be really, really good in this game if you know how to transfer and you know how to control it. But a lot of time, one, logically headshots, but also just like getting small, because in this game, bursts are incredibly easily controlled. A lot of time it's just pull down. The first like good amount of bullets are just pulled down before it goes into a T, right? You can see that these bullets right here, these like 5 or 6 first, are just straight down pull for control. Then it starts going into like this almost like T shape, which you then need to start controlling. So understanding that you can just like, a lot of time you can just like do a quick burst to take somebody out, and doing that, just calming down. The amount of time I see people in like gold, and even some people in platinum, lose kills because they don't want to slow down, they don't control, they stress out, and they just like start spraying like motherfuckers. Do one burst, and if you have to, then do another burst, right? Taking that quick break. If you want to really hit high healers, you need to start getting really good at controlling sprays and so on, because it's really good at transferring and getting more kills, and it really does maintain your damage output and can really quickly lead over to headshots, and that's important. But not being so stubborn, especially in low healers, and also in high healers, that you have to full spray at this range, right? When all you need to do is actually just like tap fire, or spray fire, or do like quick bursts at them, because that's so much more accurate. So calm down with your shots. You don't need to spray every single time you want to take somebody out. And same goes for a jiggle. So understanding that like slow peeking like this while walking, it's incredibly stupid, because they will start seeing my body way before. So instead, you can jiggle like this, and you can kind of start clearing the corner, right? So I can clear here, and then kind of clear here, right? And all this time, I can be very, very aggressive very, very quickly, and I'm quickly peeking the next area, right? So jiggling like this and using that to clear corners can be really, really a good way of just generally getting something. The same if you're playing with like, see, an op, for example, right? If you stand completely still, especially if you stand completely still in the same spot all the time, it's very easy for them to do. But if you just, you just like doing a little bit of jiggle, that little bit and like just general movement, one, it will do it, you're not as bored, but at the same time, it will also help you kind of, just kind of keep moving, keep on edge, make sure that you're a little bit more difficult to hit. If you stand like this all the time, and especially if they know where you're standing, it is so easy to preempt the wall and just peek you and then take the shot and just pre-fire the shot. It is so easy to do that. So if you just move a little bit and just kind of be a little bit more difficult to kind of hit, while still keeping my crosshair, again, I'm still keeping my crosshair on the target, it really makes a big difference in the way that you play the game, both peeking and also just holding angles. And the last one is don't overthink or overuse your abilities. This is something that I still actually struggle with, coming from Overwatch, where abilities is so centric. Remember that abilities are just tools. They're just extra stuff that you use from time to time. They are not your main damage ability. Don't try to molly. If you see a guy behind crates, a lot of time you can just hold the angle instead of pulling out your Molotov. Pulling out your Molotov. That takes time, and then tossing it. Because if he peeks you at that point, you will either get to maybe rotate for free, or he will just peek you and kill you, right? Your rifle is your main damage dealing tool, and you should use it as such. Don't use your abilities overly much. Don't be reliant on getting kills with your abilities. That's why I sometimes don't recommend people to start off the game playing somebody like Raze. Because Raze, a lot of the time, especially like bronze or iron players are like, oh, I love Raze, right? Because you can get so many cheap kills with her. And that's great, right? For some hard carries and so on. But when they become reliant on killing stuff with the nades and the C4s and the rocket launcher or ultimate, because they don't have the confidence with a rifle, it doesn't teach you good rifling skills. And it will make sure that when you start like pushing silver or gold or platinum or whatever rank you're trying to push into, if you don't have good rifling skills, it doesn't matter. This is your bread and butter in this game. So if you don't, you should not rely on abilities to frag out everything. It's just a resource, and you don't as well need to spend it at the beginning of the round. I see so many people that it's the beginning of the round, and what's the first thing to do? The first thing to do is to drop all their smokes and all their abilities at a choke point. In higher dealers, people just like wait that out. Wait a second. Use it when you need it, so that you have it, right? You don't need to burn this every round. You should use them if you find, oh, right now I need to cross. So right now I need to smoke. I'll smoke. Or okay, there's a hard push coming. I'll smoke. There was a good reason for you to do it. Don't just use stuff to use stuff, and don't be reliant on using an ability to get a kill or to win a fight or something like that. Because if you're over-relying on your abilities, you will very easily get hard stuck as you're not focusing on your rifling, which should always be your main priority. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys liked. Again, like, comment, subscribe. It's very, very much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, guys, please do take care of yourselves. Stay positive. I love you guys very, very much. As always, my name is Jonal. You guys keep the enemy in your crosshair.